get ready for the workday.
We visited Alexandria, Minnesota a few summers ago. Great time, lakes, fishing, all that. But this year, for the holidays, we wanted a winter vacation that was just as memorable, just as family-friendly, but with lights and snow, and this time, with our grandkids in tow. This holiday, it's Alexandria again. We're coming back to make new memories.
Explore your holiday getaway options at explorealex.com.
John Mino and Jim Schmidt.
Hey there, we'll start Tuesday's show with Tim Cody from Fox Valley Veterans Council. He'll fill us in on their upcoming Veterans Day event.
Then it's a
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Nite with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy who likes pina coladas but hates getting caught in the rain, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome to Nite, ladies and gentlemen. So great to be with you tonight here in the beautiful state of Wisconsin. We are broadcasting live tonight from Madison, Wisconsin, just above State Street here, the night before the election. I'm in town here. I'm going to be helping out tomorrow with some of the election coverage from the same time, 6 to 8 with Jane Matnair. Looking forward to that. But thought, why not go down to Madison and do my show Monday night? It's always so much fun to do the show from here and let Conrad run amok back in the studio in Green Bay and have his kegger parties and order pizza and run around like Tom Cruise in his underwear. How's it going, Conrad?
You know, it's a little depressing downtown now because it just started to rain.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting a little colder out, but it was nice out today for a little bit. You know, it's nice and warm.
Like, we made that sad gelato thing. We can't even play it. It's been like the greatest fall ever. It's happy gelato until we get the first snowstorm, I guess. So
I did see some people eating gelato.
Well, people tend to like their gelato, especially on Washington in Green Bay. But wherever you are joining us from tonight in this beautiful state of Wisconsin, it is great to have you. Conrad, if you please, tell people how they can watch Nite tonight, because it's a big show tonight.
Yeah.
Tell them how they can watch it on the radio.
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, Nite with Pete Schwaba,
whatever.
WGBW, and on WISS. And then YouTube, we're on Civic Media or WGBW, and on X, Civic Media or WGBW.
You called it X for the first time. I
regret
have you
it.
Matured, or was it a slip up?
It was a slip up.
Okay.
I think.
I still think it's Twitter. That is a place you want to stay away from, though, if you are trying not to think about the election. And let's just do that right away. That's our question tonight, folks. What have you been doing to keep your mind off the election? Tomorrow's the big day. It's here. We've been doing our best to keep everybody's mind off of it if you don't want to think about it. I like to think of Nite as an escape. During this election season, we've had a few people on talking about getting out the vote, but it's been a good time to talk to them about entertainment, too. So it works both ways. But tomorrow is the big day. I know if you're like me, you've had it with all of the election talk. You can't stream anything without constant political ads. So given that tomorrow is election day, and it all should go away after that, at least the ads and the constant barrage of political ads, what have you been doing to keep your mind off the election? That's tonight's question. Please let us know at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Let us know. Maybe you give us some ideas, because tomorrow's going to be rough, too. Most people probably aren't going to want to watch too much TV tomorrow until maybe tomorrow night. But if you do, tune in here on the radio at Civic Media. We'll be broadcasting on the stream. It's basically TV. So you'll have an opportunity to check out all your favorite personalities here at Civic Media pitching in tomorrow to cover the election and keep you informed. But for tonight, we have one more night. What have you been doing to keep your mind off the election? That's the question. We have a really fun show tonight. Great guests. So Mike Rowe is going to join us at 6:35. He is not the Dirty Jobs Mike Rowe. He is a friend of mine who's also a very successful TV writer. Mike has written a book that's excellent, and we are going to ask him about that book. And it's you can get it on Amazon. It's very funny. The book is called where is the book? Oh, it's a funny thing. How the Professional Comedy Business Made Me Fat and Bald. That's the title of Mike's book. And he is a very successful writer, as I mentioned. Futurama, Family Guy, King of the Hill. He's written for the Martin Short Show. He does a lot of the Comedy Central roasts or Netflix roasts. So Mike will be here at 6:35. I'm very excited to talk to Mike. And then at 7:05, this is exciting, folks. Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite will be here. You probably know him as Uncle Rico. I've been following this guy's career and have loved it. His entire career, I first saw him in a movie called Real Genius. He was the guy that lived like in the walls and downstairs, the Val Kilmer film. And he was just great. He was this quirky character. Then he was in a movie called Running Scared, comedy caper with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines in Chicago. And he played a cop in that, and he was great. And I was like, man, who is this dude? Two very different roles, and he was great at both of them. Not huge roles, but that's kind of how he's built his career. He's just a really solid actor. So I'm very excited to talk to John Gries at 7:05. We'll talk to him because in Madison this coming weekend, on the 9th, at the Barrymore Theater, Napoleon Dynamite Live is happening. That's this coming Saturday night, November 9th, Napoleon Dynamite Live. John will be there. Ephraim Ramirez will be there, who played Pedro. And Napoleon himself, John Hyder, will be there. They will all be there. They're going to show the movie. It's a question and answer session. What a fun time. I loved that movie. And it should just be a really fun night. So John is going to be here at 7:05 to tell us a little bit about that. And then at 7:20, coming into the studio, this is exciting too, from Mascot Theory, Erik Kjelland will be here. He's going to perform live in the studio. We've showcased Mascot Theory's music on Nightlight before when Terry Barr has come on for Bar Band Friday night. She's brought some Mascot Theory music with her, and it's just great. They're a great local band. Erik will be here at 7:20. Now, coming up, batting leadoff tonight in just about 5 or so minutes, we have an interview I did a couple hours ago with the legendary John Legend, who is, trying to get out the vote and wanted to talk a little bit about how he's doing that. So we said, sure. And of course, I asked him a couple questions about his career too. And he was a really fun interview. Conrad, how cool was he?
It was awesome. He was so energetic. It was great.
That's a great word for it. He was very energetic, and he was really fun to talk to. It's not a very long interview, but that's coming up in just a few minutes. I did not ask him about Chrissy Teigen, so I had to let that go. I had to edit my questions. I didn't have a whole lot of time with him, so I had to be efficient. But that's coming up in just a few minutes. So you got John Legend, great comedy writer Mike Rowe, John Gries, who played Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite. He was also very funny in White Lotus season 1.
Yes.
He was hilarious in that. So he's just I love the guy. He's a great actor. Very excited to have him on the show. And then Erik Kjelland will be here in studio at 7:20. So that is a show, ladies and gentlemen. So it's great to have you here. Please, as usual, text in. Let us know what you're thinking about anything we're talking about. You can even text in your favorite Napoleon Dynamite lines or your favorite John Legend song. However you want to do that. It's always great when you guys are more a part of the show. Conrad, on this show, I would say over the last couple weeks, we've had 2 or 3 guests that when I ask them what they're watching on TV, they've mentioned Slow Horses. And
Yeah.
Rob Thomas was one of them. I watched it this weekend. Really good show on Apple TV. Loved it. And I'm on like episode 4, but Gary Oldman plays this kind of despicable MI5 operative who runs this small group called the Slow Horses. And it's got some humor, but it's listed as a thriller. So that's my kind of show. A little bit of comedy when it's warranted, but also some really great kind of tense scenes. Really liked it a lot. So I recommend it. So far, so good. I'm not going to put it in the beats yet as a Pete's pick, but I think it's getting there, and it's gotten great reviews. So I'm going to stick with it. I'll let you guys know. Let me know what you're watching. Did you watch anything, Conrad?
Well, sadly, my membership for Apple TV just ran out yesterday. I think I'll go back through it, though.
After Bad Monkey?
Just because I love the TV show Shrinking, like I've said.
Oh, yeah.
I think I might renew it just because I want to keep watching it. It's so good. But this weekend, I didn't watch too much. I watched, football, obviously, but I also rewatched The Fall Guy. I wanted to give it another chance. I don't think I gave it a fair chance.
And
I don't know.
it was about the same.
There's just some moments in it where you feel like you know what's going to happen, or it's just, I don't know. I still think if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a fun movie.
Escapism, sure. It is. I mean, that's just kind of a fun, if you're in the mood for that, you'll probably like it. I was expecting a little more. I'm kind of where you are with that, but that's the thing too about like Apple TV. It's only like, I want to say it's $7 a month or something like that. Yeah. So it doesn't seem like that much, but then you get Peacock and Paramount Plus and Hulu and Netflix, and all of a sudden you're up to like $70 a month. Well, you're up to $70 a month if you're getting Netflix alone and like HBO, Hulu. That's going to put you at 50 or 60 right there. And all these smaller ones, they add up too, but it's hard to cancel them when they're so cheap. I don't know. It's weird. Did you see Napoleon Dynamite?
Oh, yeah. I should have rewatched it, but yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but that was one of my favorite childhood movies.
Same. I have seen it so many times because my kids loved it. When my daughter was like 3, she loved the Napoleon dance scene, and she would watch that over and over. And it was one of those films I knew like line for line. I literally knew every line in the movie. And I haven't seen it now in a few years. So I'd probably sit back down and really like it. But I love this. If I lived in Madison, I would be going to the Barrymore website right now and getting tickets to Napoleon Dynamite Live, because that sounds like a really fun night. Like to watch a movie in an old historic, really cool theater where you know people, where you're sitting with everybody else who already loves the movie. There's going to be huge laughs. And then, you get to meet these great cast members. I mean, that's a great thing. And it would, if we could have coordinated this, the powers that be would have had the election on Friday. Maybe we could have had John Gries actually in the studio, but I have no idea when he's coming to Madison. But he will be here to talk about the event at 7:05. That will be fun. And are you lamenting your Packers, Conrad?
Yeah. We don't have
almost
to talk
act
about
like
that.
you weren't. Were you expecting them to win?
No, but
even though it was at home, you really still thought they would lose?
I just think that we could have played better at home. We had the home field advantage, kind of, but yeah, could have played a lot better. I'm going to the bye week. They gotta get better.
Malik.
I don't know about that.
All right. This is great. It's so fun to have you guys with me. This is Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba. Hope you're having a great night. It's almost over, folks. The election is almost behind us. Let's get through one more night here on Nite Lite and then pick it back up again Wednesday. A really packed show tonight. You're not going to want to turn that radio off or the stream or however you're listening. Coming up next, famous composer, musician, piano prodigy, big time. He's beyond an A-lister. My interview with John Legend will be on next, followed by my interview with Mike Rowe. This is Pete Schwaba and Nite Lite on the Civic Media Radio Network. Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WEALTH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Wisconsin has many state symbols, but did you know there's an official ballad?
Oh, Wisconsin, land of my dreams.
Oh, Wisconsin, land of my dreams, composed by Sherry Sarazin.
I don't think it was an hour, and I had the music matched up.
With long ago help from her grandmother.
She wrote a poem in the late 1920s about where she lived in Wisconsin.
And it's now the state ballad. So are these also official Wisconsin symbols? The kringle, wood violet, American water spaniel? The answer coming up. The official process can take years and includes advocating the legislature to make it law. Now, along with the official ballad, are the kringle, wood violet, and American water spaniel also state symbols? Yes, each is a celebration of the state and a slice of Wisconsin. I'm Terry.
Gonna be some sweet sounds coming down on the night shift.
It is my pleasure to welcome to Night Light for the first time ever, composer, producer, writer, musician, John Legend, ladies and gentlemen. John, so great to have you. Welcome to Night Light, my friend.
My pleasure. It's great to be here.
You and I have something in common because your last name is Legend and you're an actual legend, and my last name is Schwaba and I'm an actual Schwaba. So there you go.
No, what is a Schwaba? You have to explain.
I'm a work in progress, but as soon as I figure it out, I'll let you know.
A Schwaba is like the upside down E,
Oh,
to pronounce
yes.
things, right?
That's my fate. That's right. Well, it's great to meet you. I know you're doing a lot of campaigning for Kamala Harris. What exactly about her do you think will make a great president?
Well, I think she's a great listener. So she's been going around the country and really listening to people and their concerns. She's been visiting communities all over the country, learning what issues they're facing, real kitchen table issues like the cost of rent, the cost of health care, the cost of groceries. She's been listening to all that, and then because she cares about people and she actually wants to make a difference in their lives, she's taking what she's heard and really formulating policies around that stuff. So you've seen her in her very, shortened campaign, roll out some really great ideas for how to address the needs of the American people, whether it's new parents getting a child tax credit, new homeowners getting help with their down payment, new small business owners getting help starting their business. All these areas where people are dealing with affordability and all the other issues that people are dealing with every day. She's thinking about those, and she's going to go to work every day trying to make it easier for people to live a good life and to live the American dream. And when you compare that to her opponent, who seems to only think about himself, his enemies, and who he's going to get revenge on, I'd much rather have somebody who's going to work every day thinking about how to fix people's problems rather than who they can exact retribution on.
Exactly. That's well said. And I think the prescription drug issue is very important to people, too. No question.
And let's just think about what's already happened. With the Biden-Harris administration, they've been able to negotiate 10 of the most expensive or most highly prescribed prescription drugs. Negotiating those prices for Medicare means it's going to drive down the prices for everyone. And then capping the cost of insulin for seniors has been huge, and she wants to extend that to the entire population, not just seniors. And if you think about how much money people have to spend on health care and particularly on prescription drugs, we don't pay the prices everyone else around the world pays. We pay more than everyone else. Right. And for a president to know that and to actually want to fix that is going to make a huge difference in people's lives.
Great answer. It's interesting. You've been campaigning for her in Ohio, Pennsylvania, two states you have a close connection with.
Yes.
Very blue collar. Ohio used to be a swing state. Who knows what'll happen now? Yeah. But how do you relate to those two states in your upbringing and how it affected you, A, as a voter, and B, creatively, and what it brought to your career?
Well, it's funny because sometimes people will say, well, you're just a Hollywood celebrity. What do you know about my life?
Right.
And, of course, most people that live in Hollywood and work in the arts in Hollywood, they usually come from somewhere else. And I came from Springfield, Ohio. My dad was an auto worker. He was a UAW union man for his entire career. He's, partly living on a UAW union pension now. And he worked really hard, and we didn't have it easy, but we saw what it meant to have a job that you could rely on, that paid you a decent wage and good benefits, things that unions have had to fight for over the years. And so I really know what it's like to live the kind of experience that a lot of Ohioans and Pennsylvanians and Wisconsinites, all of us have lived a pretty similar experience. And so when I go out and talk to folks in my home state and in states across the Midwest and the Northeast, I talk about what we all have in common and a lot of the concerns that people are feeling all around the country and how politics interacts with those concerns and how important it is for us to elect leaders who are thinking about those issues and actually want to make a difference in people's lives.
Great answer. And another thing we have in common, John, the Wisconsin-Ohio connection, I'm assuming neither of us have ever eaten pets. So that brings us closer together, too.
Yeah, and it's a joke, but it was also such a insidious lie that brought a lot of danger to my hometown.
Horrible, yeah.
After Trump and Vance were spreading those lies about the Haitian migrants in my hometown, we were getting bomb threats in my city, and my mother still lives there. My two younger siblings still live there. I still own property there. And it was not safe for our community after those lies that were being spread. We had the KKK marching in the street, bomb threats being called into elementary schools and middle schools, and all this because people who are supposed to be leaders were spreading misinformation and endangering the lives of the people that they're asking to lead. And we just can't have leaders doing that. It's so irresponsible and so divisive and so hateful. And, I just feel like America is ready to turn the page from all that nonsense and elect a sane leader who just goes to work every day trying to make people's lives better.
Well, we'll find all that out tomorrow. Keep getting the word out, John. It was great to meet you. Anything you got coming out that we can look forward to?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be touring for Christmas, so I don't know where the closest show to Wisconsin is, but if you all go to my website, johnlegend.com, and check out my Christmas tour dates, I just released a children's and family album called My Favorite Dream, so especially new parents who would get a child tax credit if they voted for Kamala Harris. Check that out because my kids love it, and I'm finding that so many kids and parents love the new children's and family album. It's called My Favorite Dream. And, just stay tuned. Follow me on socials, and I'll always have some new stuff happening.
You got it. Thanks so much, John. Keep up the great work, and we'll look forward to that, anything new you put out. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Okay, buddy. That's John Legend. Great answers. What did you think about that, Conrad?
That was awesome.
Very engaging guy.
Yes,
huh? Yeah,
that was awesome.
It was fun. It was good to meet him.
When we were working out, Jackie, oh, you set the world on fire. You came and gifted us your love, it lifted us higher and higher. Keep it up, and we'll be there at your side.
GBW, home of Mino and the Mayor.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
For 98.3 WISS News, I'm Lisa Hale. Wisconsin officials say nearly 55,000 pounds of unused or expired medications were collected around the state for Drug Take Back Weekend. The event took place over the last weekend in October, giving residents a chance to get rid of their unused or unwanted medications to reduce the risk of opioid addiction. According to the Wisconsin Department of Justice, this fall's take-back total was slightly lower than last spring's and about 5,000 pounds lower than last fall's. Officials are waiting for national numbers to see where Wisconsin ranked. The Oshkosh Police Department is investigating a shooting in the 800 block of Oregon Friday evening. Officers were called to numerous calls of gunshots at about 9:15. Officers determined that an argument had happened between people in a vehicle and a pedestrian, during which the pedestrian began firing a gun at the vehicle. It was not struck, but another unrelated occupied vehicle was. Thankfully, no one was injured, but Oshkosh police are asking residents to check any camera footage to help them find the shooter. You'll be able to find all the election night coverage you could need or want tomorrow night right here at this Civic Media radio station. Polls close at 8, but our coverage begins at 6 o'clock when our Civic Media hosts and reporters bring you the information you need to know. We'll be looking at the presidential race in Wisconsin, the Baldwin-Hovde battle for U.S. Senate. Several U.S. congressional district races are up for grabs in Wisconsin, and of course, Wisconsin Senate and Assembly races. Complete coverage starts at 6 o'clock here at 97.9 WGBW. Also check out civicmedia.us and the Civic Media app. For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Barbenheimer 2.0 is just around the corner with films Gladiator 2 and Wicked kicking off the holiday box office season in a couple weeks. However, last weekend's box office did not impress. The movie Here, starring Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, and directed by Robert Zemeckis, landed with a thud on opening weekend. Here did not review particularly well, and audience approval is hovering at around 60%. The film whiffed big time with only a $5 million opening weekend, which landed it in 5th place overall. Repeating as box office champ following its opening weekend is Venom: The Last Dance. The third and final chapter of DC's Venom franchise took in $26 million domestically. Rounding out the top 5 are The Wild Robot in 2nd place, Smile 2 at number 3, and Conclave at number 4. Another disappointment at the box office was Liam Neeson's new action film Absolution, which finished in 12th place, barely cracking $1 million. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy sky tonight with showers pushing back into the area later on. Low tonight in the upper 50s. High tomorrow only low 60s with clouds and on and off periods of rain. Clearing out for Wednesday. Highs near 50 and with more sun Thursday. Highs low 50s. Currently at 64 degrees.
All Wisconsinites want our lawmakers to fight for a better future. But some elected officials are working to strip away our rights, like the right to make our own healthcare decisions or send our kids to well-funded schools. Wisconsin voters will be asked to change the state constitution on their November ballot. This anti-voter constitutional amendment could disenfranchise or create barriers for eligible voters. We're not going back. The League of Women Voters of Wisconsin is urging voters to vote no on the November 5th constitutional amendment.
Let's get back to live music in the Lair with Kjelland Cole. The next song you have for us tonight is called 1103.
Yes.
Is that a time or a flight number?
Oh, that's actually really good. That's a good idea. I think I might have to write another song with that. You'll get 50%.
It's live in the Lair. Grab the podcast now at maxincradio.com and listen live on Saturday nights, 6 to midnight across the Civic Media Radio Network.
Jane Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show, it is here.
Welcome back. Aaron from the 920. Our question tonight is, what have you been doing to keep your mind off the election? We are in the home stretch, folks. One more day to go, and then hopefully our lives continue as normal. We'll see. Aaron from the 920 says, to take my mind off the election this weekend, I watched Toy Story and Toy Story 2, two of my absolute favorite movies, and I hadn't seen them in years. Those are two of my favorite as well. Live action, animated, you name it. Two incredibly solid, amazing films. Andrew from Maine says, Nightlight on YouTube. Oh, great. All right. That's why we're here. We don't really do politics here unless John Legend is on the show like he just was. Then we kind of, we let him dip his toe in there, but we got something out of it too. Did a little entertainment talk. But Andrew says, Nightlight on YouTube. It's like a low-budget TV show. Thank you. But with better-looking faces. Wow. I am lit perfectly, Andrew. Thank you for that. And thanks for listening or watching. Steve from Florida says, I've been playing more golf during election time. And you know what? You can do that in Florida, Steve. Although we've been able to do that in Wisconsin this fall. It's been incredible. So John Gries coming up at 7:05. He will be here to talk about the Napoleon Dynamite live event at the Barrymore Theater here in Madison. And we will ask him about all his really cool roles, including Uncle Rico. And I go way back with this guy in terms of following his career. I just think he's great. So I'm excited to have him on. But right now, I'm very excited to introduce my next guest. He is an incredibly accomplished TV writer, author, stand-up comedian. His TV credits are incredible. King of the Hill, Family Guy, Futurama, The Martin Short Show. He's done it all, and he joins us now on the stream, Mike Rowe. Mike, how are you?
I'm all right, man. Look at, I'm swell. It's nice to be here. I'm excited. I can't get over how much I'm starting to look more and more like Tim Walz. I think that's. I think it's a good look for me.
It's not. You're a more handsome Tim Walz, I think. Not that he's not handsome. He's a great. He's got that fun. But you have a more distinguished look, I think.
Yeah, I go for the puffy face thing. I go to a place. That you go in. It takes 10 minutes, and they add fat to the face. I think it's the new trend.
It's good to see you, buddy. You have, how does it feel having the same name as another guy, not nearly as talented as you, not nearly as accomplished as you necessarily, but his name comes up first on the search engines? I find that wrong.
Well, you wouldn't know, but I did a podcast when my book first came out 2 years ago or something. And the woman who was in charge of the podcast, the host, didn't know it was not the same Mike Rowe until she saw my face on the screen on the Zoom live as it was happening. And the disappointment in her face, it was nuts. But being the trooper that I am, and she admitted it on air. Everybody knew what was going down, but I just kind of tap danced and talked about my career and life for like an hour. And she just kind of looked at me.
So before we jump into your career, and I have so many questions for you, I should state that you and I both had the distinguished opportunity to make a literacy movie for our kids' school in good old Valley Village, the section of LA there. That was pretty exciting. A little more pressure than you thought, maybe?
It was like a 12-hour shoot day. Dealing with a bunch of kids in a hot LA sun in this hot tar schoolyard. But it was a blast. It was like, it made me feel like, well, why don't I just make more short films?
Yeah.
It felt kind of fun to, whatever you can make something in this business where it's 100% pure and you don't have to deal with executives and producers and people breathing down your neck and telling you the best way to do it, and you're doing it just for fun. It's pretty great.
I agree. And what's so great about the school our kids went to was we could use like real SAG credited movie, TV credited actors in this little fun school movie. And so much so that someone who worked on the film, I did it 2 years, I think, put the thing on IMDb. And I'm like, so I think to help launch his child's acting career. And I had to contact IMDb and I go, look, this is a kid's reading movie. Should not be on the Internet Movie Database. And they said, I'm sorry, we're leaving it up. So I don't know if yours is up there, but I had the.
No, it's not. But I did have like a real crew and real cameramen and a DP and all that stuff. So that was pretty great.
That is great. No, those were fun. Very fun times. And, So, okay. So tell us about your book. It's a funny thing. I think this is so cool. I love when comics write about their experiences. They're fun to talk about and they're fun to read about. It's on Amazon. Tell us a little bit about it.
Here, wait, I can show you a lovely picture.
Oh, fantastic. I love the
If you
typewriter.
want to come to my house and buy it, you can get a bargain price. It's funny. I wrote it. Just my instincts told me to write it. So I'm not sure why, except the way I thought about it was when I was a kid. I mean, I was 17 when I knew I wanted to be in show business. And then I thought, like, what if there was a book to show one person's journey into show business and how I handled like the trials, the tribulations, the rejection, all the stuff that you go through. It was just like, I thought, why not open a curtain a little bit? So, I think in terms of like a young person who's like, in a small town somewhere, it's like, can I really be in show business? Because I was a small town kid and I had a dream of being in show business. And to imagine, like, if I found a book like this to see, oh, he's like me. I'd like to watch comedians on TV, but how do I do it? And it's not really a how-to book. It's just like following my journey. And honestly, if I was able to reach, one or two people that inspired them, then it's well worth it. And and I didn't expect much. I mean, in fact, I'm not even sure how many books I sold, but except I know at one point I was like on Amazon list between like Mel Brooks and Robin Williams. It was like a couple days, and I don't know if it's a crazy algorithm fluke, but still, just the idea of that happening.
Take a screenshot of that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I spent the first part of my life in Chicago and then moved to a small town when I was 12, and I remember thinking the same thing you just said. How do I get there? What do I do? And you just start doing it. And I think it helps more than anything, kind of like to your point, just seeing that other people did it. You know what I mean? And like, it makes you think it's possible.
There's like sort of a cool innocence when you're a kid, because 17, when I knew I wanted to do stand-up, and this was before the big stand-up boom. And, when the stand-up boom was around, every little town had at least 2 or 3 comedy clubs. It'd be like an old car wash becomes a comedy club or whatever. But this was before that. So there was no place for me to try it. So instead, I would just walk into bars where there was a live band playing, and I'd find the manager, and I said, when they go on a break, can I just go up and tell jokes?
Oh, wow.
And it tells you too, like when you're driven and when you really love something, you just kind of listen to your instincts and just go, and I did it, and then I wanted, and even then I knew I wanted to write jokes. And there's a story I always tell, but at that same time, I would watch all the comedians on TV all the time, and I'd have my little cassette recorder, listen to the comedy, listen to the rhythm, study it. And my favorite was Rodney Dangerfield. And there was a time when he was on Carson where he really kind of opened up. He was like, he never talks about his life, but he said when he started, he failed. He went by the name of Jack Roy, and he was selling aluminum siding. But now he became successful. He had a club in New York called Dangerfields. So I'm taking all this in, and then I said to myself, I know his rhythm so well and studied it so much that what if I just sent him jokes,
Wow.
And again, as a kid, so I got my mom's big clunky typewriter and wrote, 8 or 10 jokes, 12 jokes, and sent him to Jackie Roy at Dangerfields, knowing that if it goes in, that might get his attention. And then I kind of forgot about it, for a couple of weeks. And then one night after dinner, and I'm in my downstairs finished off basement bedroom, and the phone rings. My mom picks it up, and she's at the top of the stairs. Mike, there's a Rodney on the phone for you.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd say, hey, Mike, how you doing? You okay? You all right? Hey, I'm like, oh, well, yeah. I was a 17-year-old kid. I'm talking to like one of my heroes. And it was pretty amazing because he kept me on the phone for like 15 minutes. And he's, I like their jokes. They're pretty good, but they're not my jokes. They're not for me, but they're funny. And I told him I wanted to do stand up, and he told me what clubs to go to, and he said, "Don't come to my club; it's no good," you know. But
wow.
And then, like a week later, he sent me a handwritten letter, you know, saying it's going to take a long time before you're funny. And he just gave me this advice. And then, so as a kid, you know, you're getting that kind of encouragement. It really helps to go like, well, yeah, maybe this can really happen, you know.
I think that would do it. That's incredible. And that says a lot. I never knew anything about Rodney Dangerfield other than I thought he was funny. I loved when he was on Carson, but that says he's a pretty good guy too. Like to call this, but to you, Mike, at 17, going up where they're playing music and saying, "Can I do a couple minutes?" I had to get up the nerve just to go to an open mic where they were presenting comedy, but to go up between musical acts, that's really impressive. My guest is Mike Rowe. He is a TV writer. He's written on shows such as Futurama, King of the Hill, and Family Guy, and he is with us here tonight. You can look for his book called It's a Funny Thing. That is on Amazon, a very funny book. And Mike is here for a few more minutes. You had a great reputation, Mike. When I first met you at our kids' school, I didn't know much about you. I knew you were a TV writer, but then I would meet other people and they would go, "Oh no, he was a great stand-up too." And I was like, "Oh really?" So what made you? Did you know you wanted to write for TV, or did you just kind of? Did someone say, "Hey, your jokes are great, you should write"? How did that transformation happen?
Well, I kind of liked writing for other comedians along the way and helping other comedians with their stuff. And at some point as a stand-up, I knew I wasn't going to be Robert Klein. I wasn't going to be George Carlin. And then I thought, you know, and I'm 24 or 5 at this time, and I thought to myself, well, what happens when I'm 50? You know, I don't want to work on cruise ships and stuff like that, you know. So I had been writing more and more, so I just said, you know what, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to lean to that, because I also knew I wasn't going to be an actor. I wasn't going to be a sitcom guy, you know. So again, I guess luckily I was in tune with like who I am and what my strengths are and what I need to do and what my, you know, what was just right for me, you know.
Absolutely. Can you compare? You've written on some of the biggest, shows in general, but certainly in animation as well. I mean, Family Guy, Futurama, King of the Hill. Were all those writers' rooms similar? Was the experience similar on each, or I'm sure different showrunners, and maybe you were a showrunner on one of them. I don't know. Have different processes.
Well, King of the Hill, I wasn't on staff there. It was just a script. So,
okay.
I'm not sure why that's even out there. Anyway, but you know, I've worked on. It's funny. I took a tally just to see, because I've been doing this a long time, and I counted every single staff of every show I've ever been on. That would include like award shows and game shows and talk shows, and it's almost like 55 different staffs.
That's wow.
That, you know, being like the Comedy Central roast, those were like a week or 2 week long jobs or whatever that. But you know, but every single staff takes on its own personality, you know.
Right.
Like, for example, Futurama was certainly one of my favorites because it was really just about doing the work. It wasn't political. There weren't, you know, bullies in the room. And it was just like everybody was treated as an equal. And you felt free to say it and pitch any stupid thing you wanted that you thought could be funny. Where then I would be in another room where the person in charge was a bully, and whether he or she felt insecure about something, or I don't know what it is, but the room tightens up and it just uncomfortable. And I'm certainly not all that funny in those situations. So yeah, it is from show to show. The rooms certainly vary from 0 to, you know, 11. So.
My guest is Mike Rowe. We'll have a few more minutes with Mike after a very short break. We're coming right back here on Night Light with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The talk of Green Bay, WGBW.
This is an important announcement for Wisconsinites who plan to vote in the November 2024 election. Leading nonpartisan economists have analyzed the economic plans of Donald Trump and concluded that he would cause inflation to rise and the economy to slow. And 16 Nobel Prize-winning economists wrote a letter warning that Donald Trump would reignite inflation with his fiscally irresponsible budgets. Donald Trump's tariff plan would act as a national sales tax, costing the average family as much as $4,000 per year. But Vice President Kamala Harris's plan would help middle-class families deal with rising costs. In her first 100 days, Kamala Harris would pass a ban on price gouging at the grocery store. And as vice president, she worked to cap the cost of many prescription drugs, including insulin, saving many families thousands of dollars per year. On the economy, the choice is clear. Vote Kamala Harris for president. Paid for by A Better Wisconsin Together Action, www.abwt-action.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
The kick is up and wide left.
Why don't they customize the goalposts? Make them wider.
Gina Della from Pella? How'd you get into the booth?
And why just yellow? Add some green stripes.
Sure, Gina. Should they also remove the G at midfield and paint a Pella crest?
Okay, Wayne, you can't customize a football game to go the way you want, but Pella can customize your home the way you want.
Right now, get 0% interest for 60 months.
Visit PellaWI.com.
Hold your appointment on or before November 8th. Certain restrictions apply.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it.
Our question tonight is, what have you been doing to keep your mind off the election? Gotten some good text so far, but join the fun, folks. Text us, and we will read it on the radio. What have you been doing to keep your mind off the election? It's almost over. We're in the home stretch. Coming up at 7:05, actor John Gries will be here from Napoleon Dynamite to talk about an event here in Madison this Saturday night. Right now, we have a few more minutes with TV writer Mike Rowe, who has written on shows like Futurama. And Mike, you also wrote for the Martin Short Show. How is he as good a guy? I've never really heard a bad thing about this guy. I've never had the opportunity to meet him, but is he as good a guy off screen as he is on?
He was fantastic. He would hang out and have lunch with the writers every day. It was such a fun gig. It didn't last that long, sadly, but and the other fun thing was, because I grew up on SCTV, I was a huge fan. So Martin Short would bring every once in a while one of the cast members from SCTV, and he would they would do their characters, So all of a sudden I'm with Martin Short and Edith Prickly, or the Count having lunch, in their costumes, and it was pretty great. Yeah,
that's fun. We both have children who are sort of dipping their toe in the waters of show business and want to follow their dads into this crazy business. What do you tell your kids that want to do this?
I never suggested or encouraged him necessarily. I didn't say you should do it. And I do encourage him because I think he is naturally funny. He has it. I mean, I really feel like, and if I constantly tell him, if you spend as much time writing as you do on the video game, you would probably have your own show right now.
Right.
But he's still in the video game, so that didn't work.
Well, maybe he'll get him some jokes out. He'll get some jokes out of it or something.
Yeah. So he, I help him and when he needs it and guide him, and he has me look at stuff, and I don't, I help him as far as I never say well, this is wrong and you should do it this way. I just kind of point out here's a couple things you can do to make it read better, make it clearer, and get your point across. I don't, I let him follow his own voice and instincts.
Right.
So he's choosing this. I like to think he's following his instincts, but he grew up in show business. He used to come to Futurama and sit at the table reads, and he'd be in the writer's room, him and his brother, at 8, 9, 10 years old, and hanging out with Matt Groening, and
Wow.
So
that's cool. It's funny. I kind of told my son the same thing. I'm like, I never pushed him. I never even encouraged him. But once he made up his mind that he was going to do this, all you can do is encourage him. But
Right.
But you have to say, look, even if you're really talented, it's going to take a while. You just have to be patient and enjoy the ride too, I think. So
yeah, it's about failing upwards.
yeah, right. Mike, you have so many different kinds of comedy writing credits. You got a book now. You've written for the roasts. I'm sure we have tons of the same friends. You've done stand-up. You've written for animated, live action, all this stuff. What is your favorite kind of comedy to write?
Good question. I do like the funny stuff that has heart. Like one of my Futurama episodes got a lot of acclaim because it was an episode where, I realized, if you know the show or don't, but Fry is the main character. He got pushed into the future, but it happened so fast he never got to say goodbye to his mom. So the professor in the show presented this way that he can, through a dream, go back to visit his family and find a moment to say goodbye to his mom. And finally, when that moment comes, it's actually his mom in the dream saying goodbye to him in her dream. So it was like this real emotional moment that is not typical, Futurama stuff. So I like writing that kind of stuff. But I kind of like everything, like whatever, I think I'm still trying to find and figure out my strengths, really, at this point.
Is that the one? Did you win an Emmy for that? I know you won an Emmy. Was that the episode? by any
No,
chance?
the which one was it? Why do I forget which one? But that one was a Writers Guild Award for the
Nice.
the Dream one. So yeah, I can't remember the Emmy one. I don't know. It was.
I could see the awards behind you. I believe you have them though. That's the
Yeah.
important thing.
They're carefully placed over my shoulder. I hired a crew to know exactly where to put them. Had a lighting team come in to make sure they show properly.
They did a bang up job. Hey, buddy, this was fun. I hope we could do it again. I had a lot more questions for you, but we're running out of time here. But I really appreciate your time, and I hope you do figure out what it is you're supposed to be writing comedically, because so far you're doing everything pretty damn well. So thank you so much.
I'm chasing my rainbows.
All right. Thanks so much, Mike. All right. That's Mike Rowe. Check out Futurama. All of his shows, I think, are in syndication now. And if you watch comedy roasts, Mike is a good chance he's been a part of those too. We just had Roger Rittenhouse on, Conrad, didn't we?
Yeah, we
3
did.
weeks ago. Yeah, Roger's a bigger roast writer too. I'm sure those guys know each other. All right, this is fun. We're going to keep this thing moving. Barreling through some crazy great guests tonight. When we come back after Civic Media's award-winning news keeps you informed, John Gries will be here from the movie Napoleon Dynamite. He played Uncle Rico, and we will talk to John about an event coming up here in Madison. It's going to be fun. Don't leave. It's Pete Schwaba and Night Light on the Civic Media Radio Network.
There's progress we have found, a way to talk around the problem. Building towers, foresight isn't anything at all. Fly the sky and tell the sky, and leave the sky and tell the sky.
The talk of Green Bay, WGBW. Todd Albaugh.
Hey, everybody, join us next time for Election Day coverage. Wisconsin Decides 2024. We'll have all the news of Election Day as it unfolds from our election headquarters. Join us.
The Todd Albaugh Show. Weekdays noon till 2. Matt Nair on air.
Darren Von Ruden, president of the Wisconsin Farmers Union. Wisconsin Congressman Derek Van Orden wasn't really concerned about hearing from the farmers after he got done being unhappy with you about an ad you made months ago.
Our members didn't get to tell their stories, and in the end, if you don't agree with each other, at least the conversation can happen. That really didn't happen.
One would think being in Congress would require a slightly thicker skin.
Matt Nair on air. Weekdays 10 till noon on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us. You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay. WGBW 1590 AM Denmark. W250 CV Green Bay. And always streaming on the Civic Media app.
This is a special report from ABC News, Your Voice, Your Vote. I'm Chuck Sievertson. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump holding competing rallies all around Pennsylvania where the election could be decided. Harris at a Puerto Rican restaurant in Reading, Pennsylvania. Harris was joined by New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's of Puerto Rican heritage. Much negative reaction has come from a comedian's Puerto Rican joke at the Trump Madison Square Garden rally about Puerto Rico being an island of garbage. Donald Trump has a Pittsburgh rally coming up and then one in Michigan tonight. Election officials reassuring people that the voting process is secure. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
We're asking everyone to stay informed and rely on trusted sources for updates. In this age of misinformation, I want to ensure that everyone gets their information
From official sources, she says. This is a...
Do you have a home you'd like to rent out but don't know where to start? Consider Simple Life Rentals, a property management company partnered with booking sites like Airbnb and Expedia, amplifying your home's exposure to the marketplace. Simple Life Rentals screens guests and creates an owner portal with analytics, rental agreements, and legal guidelines. We give you complete visibility into how your manager's doing, ensuring your property is well maintained and maximizing your return on investment. Get peace of mind. SimpleLifeRentals.com.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. The U.S. Department of Justice announced Friday that federal officials will monitor polls in 4 Wisconsin towns and cities. They are Milwaukee, Thornapple, Lawrence, and Wausau. You might remember that the mayor of Wausau met some controversy when he decided to remove a ballot box. Thornapple and Lawrence have had trouble providing voting machines accessible to people with disabilities. And Milwaukee, being Wisconsin's largest city, has been the target of false voter fraud claims in the past. There will be Civil Rights Division staffers available tomorrow to take questions and complaints from voters related to any possible violations of federal voting rights laws. Megan Wolf, Wisconsin's chief elections official, told reporters in a virtual press call Friday that inaccurate information has been distributed about non-citizen voting in the state.
Let me be clear, under no circumstances are non-citizens allowed to vote in the state of Wisconsin, ever. In order to vote in Wisconsin, voters must certify on their voter registration form that they are a U.S. citizen.
Wolf said every Wisconsin voter has to show an ID, such as a driver's license, passport, military ID, or naturalization documents at the polls to prove legal status and to vote. The prices for gas continue their downward trend this week. According to Gas Buddy, the average prices in Green Bay have dropped just over 4.5 cents a gallon to $2.86. The average price for gas in Appleton is $2.85, down 4.9 cents. In Wisconsin, the average is sitting at $2.80.
The Packers fall to the Lions. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. It was an NFC North battle, and the Packers came up short, losing 24-14 to the Detroit Lions. Jordan Love throwing an interception, returned for a touchdown, a quarterback rating of just 69.7.
You know, it's definitely disappointing. Putting the ball in jeopardy way too many times, and definitely something I have to clean up.
The Lions improved to 7-1. The Vikings in second place after beating the Colts 21-13. The Packers head into the bye in third place at 6-3. Baseball, the Brewers with 2 players named Gold Glove winners, Sal Frelick and Bryce Terang. The last time 2 Brewers won in the same season, 1979. Sixto Lascano and Cecil Cooper. NBA, Bucks in Cleveland to face the Cavaliers. Milwaukee now 1-5. Bobby Portis says his home was broken into during Saturday night's game.
I know we've gotten out to a horrible start to start the season, but while I was at my game yesterday, I had a home invasion and they took most of my prized possessions.
With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm Lisa Hale with WGBW News. Your news in depth. Find it in the news section at WGBW.FM.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy sky tonight with showers pushing back
Testing,
into
1,
the
2, 3.
area
This is
later
Pete
on.
Schwaba,
Low
Nite,
tonight in the upper 50s. High tomorrow, only low 60s with clouds and on and off periods of rain. Clearing out for Wednesday. Highs near 50 and with more sun Thursday, highs low 50s. Currently at 64 degrees.
The Dom Salvia Show.
You always have to consistently, till the day you die, stand up and fight for those rights. You got to stand up for yourself. You got to stand up for your neighbors and your friends, and even folks that you don't maybe agree with politically, that they also have the very same right. And anybody trying to stop that is going absolutely against what this country is supposed to be all about. I think more people need to stand up and say, you cannot stop me from voting.
The Dom Salvia Show. Weekdays from 4 till 6 on the Civic Media Radio Network and on the Civic Media app.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing.
Yeah?
Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Dom Salvia.
Next time, special election coverage, overtime with Maggie Dawn, plus former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, and stick around for special Civic Media election night coverage. Tune in.
The Dom Salvia Show. Weekdays 4 till 6.
You're listening to the Talk Up.
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Night Lite with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy who thinks outside the box and hates cliches, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome back to hour number 2. Our question tonight: what have you been doing to keep your mind off the election? Folks, we are in the home stretch. It's almost over. We try to take your mind off the election every night here at Night Lite, talking about movies and TV and music and comedy and the things that bring us together and make us laugh. But what have you been doing in your personal life? That's the question. You can text us and let us know at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Let us know. Coming up at 7:20, musician Erik Kjelland plays in the studio from the Mascot Theory. That'll be fun. Right now, I'm very excited to welcome my next guest. You guys probably know him for a couple, 2 or 3 roles. I've been following this guy literally since the early 80s, and I just think he's terrific. So I was thrilled when he decided to make himself available for the show tonight. Actor John Gries joins me. John, how are you?
Hi, how's it going?
It's going very well.
How does it feel to get a question with a question? You asked me how I was, and I immediately asked you how you were. So, yeah, we're starting off on a great foot. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks so much. How are you doing?
It's good. I just thought that was like an acting technique or something. That's okay. You just say whatever you feel comfortable saying. No. It's totally fine. It is great to have you. You have a great event coming up in Madison this Saturday night at the Barrymore Theater, Napoleon Dynamite Live. For those of you listening, John was Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite. Just an absolute treasure of a movie. Can you tell us a little bit about the event this Saturday?
Well, this has been something that we've been doing now for a few years, probably with the exception of the time during the pandemic. But we show the film, and then afterwards we have like an interactive show with the audience. We get on stage, but we're not like just sitting up there, polishing our nails on our lapels, like, oh yes, we were in this amazing movie, and you're just lucky to be here with us. No, we're equally fans of this film, and we get out in the crowd, we hang out with people, we have reenactments. Scene reenactments with audience members.
Oh, nice.
Have like trivia questions. It's like an event. We play a little bit of music. We have a really great time. We are truly, we don't consider ourselves any different other than the fact that we're in the movie, but we are true fans of this film and what this film still amazingly 20 years later seems to engender. And it's a very positive experience, obviously.
It's great. My kids loved it. Well, I loved it. I went to see it at the Sunset 5 when it came out in L.A., and then when my kids were born, they watched it over and over and over. And how did you get involved with the film? Like, did they approach you? Did you see it and want to audition for it? How did that happen?
Oh, no, I knew absolutely nothing about this film. It's an interesting story because they made offers to a lot of people. One of them being, which I think is just fascinating as all get out, is Christopher Walken to play Uncle Rico. Could you imagine him? Deb, you have such the idea of it makes me very giddy. I mean, it makes me laugh so hard. So, no, but because these guys didn't have any track record and they were very young, and agents in Hollywood, I'm sure you have an idea, they're just, it's like a firewall between, people making films and the clients or the talent that they represent. And, I was the low-hanging fruit. It was like, this guy's available. I mean, all these other people, Walton Goggins and Christopher Walken, and they've all turned it down.
Wow.
No, truly. But actually, it's funny. Walton is a friend of mine, and he said, I loved you so much in that movie, and I got to tell you, I actually agreed to do the movie and then realized I couldn't do it. I was doing another project, and I had to call up and bow out. And so like the filmmakers from Napoleon had a definite inside track getting to some high level talent. But the problem is either people were, busy or whatever.
Yeah.
And as they were getting closer to the start date, Jory Weitz, the casting director, had put me in another film called The Big Empty with Jon Favreau. And they happened to be using the offices of the editing room of The Big Empty when they were trying to cast Napoleon Dynamite. And he said, let's look at this guy's footage on this movie and maybe you might like it. And they watched my stuff and they said, let's make an offer. And that was pretty much it.
Oh, that is so cool. It's like you're listing all these other great actors, and they're great. And they would have done a good job too, I'm sure. But like, you're just
all killed it. It would have been amazing.
Yeah, but it's like, you're him now. It's just there's no one else that could do it because you just crushed it and made it your own. And I think that's fantastic. So you're welcome. If it's so, can you talk? Okay, so the first two films I saw you in, John, where I actually noticed you and I was like, oh, this guy's great. You were in Real Genius, real quirky part.
Yes.
And then you were in a movie called Running Scared. As a younger cop playing off Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. Really fun movie, actually, if people haven't seen it.
And Stephen Bauer and I were partners in that. We played
Yes.
You know who else was that? It was Jimmy Smits and Joey Pantoliano. There was a lot of people in that movie.
Joey Pants. I was late to a meeting with him once. It did not go well. I'm still ashamed of myself because he, honest to God, he has no bigger fan than me. And the guy who played the police chief too is great too. I can't think of his name right now. Dan. Dan he played
Dan.
Nick. Yeah. It was just a great cast. But can you talk a little bit about those two roles? They're such great roles. And again, they look like you just crushed those and had so much fun with it.
Thank you so much. Real Genius, originally when they called me to play the part of Kent.
Wow, really? I can't see that.
And I know, and I read this. When I was early in my career, I got hired to play people kept they kept thinking, well, he's not good looking enough to be the good guy, so he's probably good looking enough to be the bad guy. Of course, I couldn't get on soap operas because they're like, nah, he ain't even good looking enough to be the bad guy. That's pretty much
And they say that to people. Isn't that crazy? It's horrible.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You've got to have some pretty thick skin. And Robert Prescott, who ended up playing the Kent, was so brilliant in that role that you say you can't imagine anybody else playing Uncle Rico. I could never imagine anybody else playing Kent, but Robert Prescott. He's such a wonderful actor. So Real Genius. I called my agent when I got the audition, And they sent me the script, and I called him and I said, I want to read for Laszlo. And he was like, what are you talking about? They called you to read for Kent. They probably have other ideas for Laszlo. I know, but the role is speaking to me, and I got to try that. I'd rather go down on that one and in flames than go down in flames on doing this one, because that's not the one I want to do. This is the one I want to do. So he called them, and they said, okay, sure, he wants to read for that. Come on in. And he's too young for it, because it was written in the script that he was like 45 years old, you know. And so, but they kept calling me back, you know. They made me come back like 4 or 5 times. And then I finally got the job, and it was a life-changing experience for me, truly. I mean, before that, I was working construction, you know, as well as acting from time to time and something here and there. But after that movie, I was, you know, on my way. Running Scared was a funny story, because I went in to meet with Peter Hyams, and he sat there, and we had a great discussion. Now, meanwhile, sitting out in the waiting room is David Caruso and Ray Liotta to read or to talk to him about the same part, right?
Oh, wow.
But Peter Hyams and I sit and we gab for, I'm not kidding, an hour. And they're out there waiting. I'm sure they're getting angry as all get out. And then Peter looks at me and he goes, John, I love you, but I don't know you. I don't know your work. What have you done? And at that time, I had finished shooting Real Genius, but it wasn't done yet. But it turns out the old Sony lot where Peter Hyams' office was the MGM lot at the time. And they were cutting Real Genius on the MGM lot. So I went home and I called the editor, a guy named Richard Chu, who was very famous because he edited Star Wars. I said, hey, Richard, my name's John Gries. And he goes, oh, my God, I love you in this movie, Real Genius, that I'm cutting. And I said, that's why I'm calling you. I want to see if I can get a screening room on the lot this, like, coming week. Do you think you could put the scenes together for Peter Hyams? He goes, don't worry about it. I'll put the scenes. I'll put 3 great scenes together. I said, thank you so much. And then I called the studio operations, and I said, Peter Hyams would like the Cary Grant screening room at Friday at 11 a.m. And they were like, okay, Peter Hyams, you know, like I was just, I ordered the room, and then I called Peter's office and I said, yeah, and you know, have a projectionist there. And then I called his office and I said, yes, 11 a.m., the Cary Grant screening room, right? And sure enough, Peter Hyams comes in, sits down, he watches my scenes, he calls me, he goes, and I was just leaving the country to go to Italy to shoot something, and he goes, you got the job. When you come back, we're going to make a movie together. And that was it. And then later on, while we were shooting, because he was also the producer of the film, he walks up to me while we're eating lunch, and he sits down, and he drops a piece of paper in front of me. He says, did you rent the Cary Grant screening room on my dime? I started laughing and said yes. And he said, good for you. Good for you. He picked up a piece of paper and walked away.
Oh, that's terrific. Wow. It
required a little bit of hustle. You know, you had to hustle
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit. You couldn't just,
Be proactive, right. John, we have about a minute left. I had so many questions for you, and I wanted to ask you about White Lotus, but I know you're a busy guy, and I tell me in about 30 seconds, this Saturday, such a great night. You played Uncle Rico. You're going to be there. People should go see you in Madison, Napoleon Dynamite Live. Are you looking forward to it?
Oh, I'm telling you something. We have such a great time. We love having this exchange with the audience. We don't turn out the lights in the theater. The lights are on, man. We're all together in this, and it's a great time. It really is a great time, and we have giveaways, and you know that it's just a lot of fun. It's beautifully janky and really, really loose and really a lot of fun.
I love it. Check him out this Saturday, John Gries. Thank you so much, buddy. Crush it this Saturday. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, so nice to meet you. And anytime, I'd love to come back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is he still there? John, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, I'm sorry. I would really, truly love to have you back. So I'll send Topher an email who connected you with us. But thank you so much for your time. Would you mind doing a quick tag for the show? Just I'm John Gries, and you're watching
Sure.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Conrad. Whenever you're ready. All right, we're ready. Anytime you are, John.
I'm John Gries, also known as Uncle Rico, and you're watching Nightlife with Pete Schwaba. It's Nightlight or Light?
Nightlight, and it's
Okay.
radio typically. If you don't mind saying listening to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba, that'd be great.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're listening. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay.
I do really
We're on
well
the stream
radio.
too. It's kind of like TV, but
Yeah. Oh, cool. Hey, this is John Gries, also Uncle Rico, and you're listening to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
John, you're the best. Thank you so much. I'll reach out to Topher. I would love to have you on down the road if you're game. It was so much fun.
Sure. You know what? I mean, if you want my email, I'll give it to you, and you can email me anytime. And
Oh, sure, yeah.
And
That
my
would-
number, and we can do something. Yeah.
Conrad, can you grab this from John before we go live? I don't want him to say it to everybody.
No, of course, of
yeah,
course.
we could definitely ask Topher get the email and everything, and then because I don't want to do it over stream or anything. So.
I gotcha. Okay, we'll reach out to
All right.
Topher. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, buddy.
Cheers, you guys.
All right,
Take
you
it
too. Thanks so much. That was fun. I wish we had 2 segments. Oh.
Oh, you've been on a fast train, and it's going off the rail,
We'll talk about this. All right,
and you
fantastic.
can't come back again.
Welcome back. We have
And you start
our question tonight is getting a lot of answers, and it's how are you keeping your mind off the election? The end is in sight, folks. It's tomorrow. Life hopefully will go back to normal on some level. But we've gotten a lot of texts from people from golfing. Cindy says she already voted. 608 says I have a plan. From the 626 voted blue and no already. Okay. Len from Madison says, thanks, but I voted early on Friday in anticipation of a rainy forecast for Election Day. I think that's why a lot of people vote early. Jack from Merrimack says, already voted early. Thursday, 10/24. That is early. I voted early as well. From the 715, voted early, already voted. Leave me alone, says the 503. Those texts are going to keep coming, though. Brian from the 323 says, no. Okay. That's okay. You kind of can't get away from it anyway. The commercials are everywhere. And then the 563 says, voted early. Daddy-O from Windsor says, already did. Ross from Crawford County says, strum the guitar. I guess Ross wants us to get to our next guest. Tom from Wausau says, it is? I haven't heard anything about it. Yeah, it's really not. You have to do anything. It's out there. Rob from Tigerton says, campaign. It's the first time I ever took part in a campaign. It's been fun and exciting meeting people. Rob also says, I will be voting in Germania Town Hall. I hope I'm saying that right. I will be voting tomorrow morning, tomorrow night. I'm going to be listening. I'm going to Kristen Lyerly's party in Appleton. Dr. Lyerly, a friend of Civic Media. That's great. Charles from Milwaukee says, voted already. All right, we'll get to some more of these. I got to introduce our next guest. I'm so thrilled to have this guy in the studio because I am familiar with his work. I feel like I know him already, thanks to our friend Terry Barr, who is one of the co-hosts of Max Inc. Radio. She's brought this next artist's music onto Nightlight more than once, so it is a thrill for me to have him in the studio here in Madison. Erik Kjelland joins me from the Mascot Theory. How you doing, buddy?
I'm awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
This is great. I'm so glad it worked out. You're a Madison guy, right?
Yes,
or in
absolutely.
the area?
Yep, Madison. Direct.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, it's great. I'm so glad this worked out. I feel like I know your music. You brought this really cool. I didn't know people still did this.
It's a double vinyl album.
I'm holding it up in the stream here, if you can see it. The Mascot Theory, double vinyl.
Yep. Pressed on orange marble vinyl. So super hip, super cool.
That's like some serious Buku Dolores you're putting into
you
the...
know, We wanted to make
Spare
it
no
special.
expense.
We wanted
Yeah,
to
I
make
guess
it
so.
special, and vinyl is hip again.
It's excellent. Thank you very much. I do have I got to break it out, though. I haven't used it in a while, but I kept it because I
Perfect.
know vinyl is like all the rage right now. I
Yeah.
love the sound of it. So thank you very much. It's
Yeah.
great to have you here. So how are you? How are things going?
Fantastic. You know, we put that album out back in May. I think we talked around that time. I think it was the first time we talked via Zoom or something. I believe.
Yeah.
That's not in person
right.
like this one.
That's right.
And so we've just been playing shows, to get that music out here, and now we're getting to Flannel Fest time. Which is our big
we'll
fundraiser
talk
that we
about
put
that
on.
too.
Yeah,
I've got a ton of questions for you. You're going to play a couple tunes. I'm so excited about that too. Tell me about Mascot Theory. How did you guys form? It's you, Paul Metz, Nick Fry. How did you guys get together, and how did the band form?
Yeah, and then so that's the core of the band that goes back 13 years, I think.
Wow,
roughly. I
yeah.
think in math, it's about that. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's about 13 years, and it was really an accident. Nick and I were in a band, and we were doing the bar band thing. We were getting done at 3:30 in the morning, and then
packing up your stuff,
and then getting home really late when the sun's coming up. But then also at that same kind of time, towards the end of that band, I had kids. So we're like, this isn't working anymore. Going home and having to get up or stay up with the babies. Or whatever. It just wasn't working. So the bar band thing wasn't working. So I was like, I'm going to just only do coffee houses, wineries, whatever. I need to be able to get home by 10, be done by 10. And then this band accidentally formed out of that. Basically, we had I had a little duo gig that I was playing at a coffee shop not too far from here, and my friend couldn't make it. So I was just like, hey, Nick, you've got this other band going right now down in Freeport area. And I said, why don't you bring your band up? Our bands had played together before, so I knew some of those guys. So I'm like, come on up and we'll just kind of sit in together. I know some of your songs and you've heard some of my songs. So let's just kind of play together and see what happens for this one-off gig. And 13 years later, it never stopped. We started singing together and harmonizing, and it just became something really special. And we're just like, okay. And we still try to get done before 10 o'clock sometimes, but it's a whole different focus on this band where it's just like, this is just original music. We're going to do what we can with this original music and just go from there.
How did that go over? Like, you played the bar band scene. You did that. I would think those people want to hear music. They have a couple drinks. They want to hear. Then you go to coffee shops. What kind of response did you get then? Was it discouraging or encouraging, or what was that like?
Way more focused.
Wow.
I think there was more, the type that we were playing were kind of special shows that we were kind of going and playing where they had consistent musicians coming in to play.
Yeah.
So it was definitely more, we're here to sit and listen and watch. And that music that I was playing then was a lot more mellow, a lot more melodic, and just softer. And I went back to acoustic guitar, and I hadn't done that in a while. So it was definitely a softer kind of thing. And so it goes over really well. Very different than the bar band thing. And the bar band thing we still did original music. I've always been interested in songwriting and recording. So we always had albums. So it was always sprinkled in, but that was always a lot more covers, and then you slip in an original song. With the Mascot Theory, it's very rare if we do a cover song. And still, we started doing some covers, but then as we sort of became this real band, it kind of turned into, hey, I've got some songs you want to go record as a band, and I guess that would make us an official band if we actually recorded.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we went and did the first album in 2012, and then never stopped. And then we added a few years ago, coming out of the pandemic, we added Corey Swadley on guitar, and he's all over this new album. He's just the most incredible guitar player. And then we added a keyboard player, Brandon Jensen, as well. So we're a 5-piece now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where does the name come from? How'd you come up with Mascot Theory?
It's basically, so when I worked at a print shop downtown here, not too, like on the other side of the square, I worked here for about 16 years, and we always would have like the NCAA brackets.
Yeah.
We put out the, I don't know if they're legal or not, but we would put those little brackets, maybe throw $5 or something down on it. And you pick your winner, and a friend of mine, a coworker that I worked with, he would pick his based on which mascots would have won in a fight. And so, and he and I also had this list of what we would call, hey, that's a funny band name. Let's write that down. So when we were talking about his horrible way, it never won ever because it was
Hey, I'm gonna stop here.
Yeah.
Can we pick up right there after a break? All right, we got to do some quick news here at Civic Media, and we'll be right back. I'm so thrilled. Erik is here from the Mascot Theory, and he's going to play for us next after Civic Media's award-winning news. This is Pete Schwaba and Nite on the Civic Media Radio Network. Scrambling.
This is the talk of Green Bay, WGBW. Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
For 98.3 WISS News, I'm Lisa Hale. Wisconsin officials say nearly 55,000 pounds of unused or expired medications were collected around the state for Drug Take Back Weekend. The event took place over the last weekend in October, giving residents a chance to get rid of their unused or unwanted medications to reduce the risk of opioid addiction. According to the Wisconsin Department of Justice, this fall's take-back total was slightly lower than last spring's and about 5,000 pounds lower than last fall's. Officials are waiting for national numbers to see where Wisconsin ranked. The Oshkosh Police Department is investigating a shooting in the 800 block of Oregon Friday evening. Officers were called to numerous calls of gunshots at about 9:15. Officers determined that an argument had happened between people in a vehicle and a pedestrian, during which the pedestrian began firing a gun at the vehicle. It was not struck, but another unrelated occupied vehicle was. Thankfully, no one was injured, but Oshkosh police are asking residents to check any camera footage to help them find the shooter. You'll be able to find all the election night coverage you could need or want tomorrow night right here at this Civic Media radio station. Polls close at 8, but our coverage begins at 6 o'clock when our Civic Media hosts and reporters bring you the information you need to know. We'll be looking at the presidential race in Wisconsin, the Baldwin-Hovde battle for U.S. Senate. Several U.S. congressional district races are up for grabs in Wisconsin, and of course, Wisconsin Senate and Assembly races. Complete coverage starts at 6 o'clock here at 97.9 WGBW. Also check out civicmedia.us and the Civic Media app. For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Martha Stewart might be dealing with a hangover due to her displeasure with her biopic Martha on Netflix. While promoting her new cookbook during an appearance on a game show similar to Family Feud, she took a shot at Ryan Reynolds. When asked which actors she would like to hang out with in real life, she listed George Clooney, her pal Snoop Dogg, and Brad Pitt, but made a point to say Ryan Reynolds is not funny in real life, adding that he is very serious. She also acknowledged her comments might not go over so well since the two are neighbors in real life. Despite the final season of Succession bringing Kieran Culkin his first Golden Globe Award, the actor has still not seen the series finale. In a recent appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Culkin said he missed it because he was in Poland filming a movie and then went right to a vacation with his family. The actor told Colbert he knows what happens, but just sort of missed his chance. If only there was a way he could still watch it. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your hometown radio, refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected locally across the Civic Media Network.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy sky tonight with showers pushing back into the area later on. Low tonight in the upper 50s. High tomorrow, only low 60s. With clouds and on and off periods of rain. Clearing out for Wednesday. Highs near 50 and with more sun Thursday. Highs low 50s. Currently at 64 degrees.
In the market for a home loan? It's time to meet Kristen Ambos, the top 1% of loan originators in the U.S. and the #1 female loan officer in Wisconsin for 2 years running. With over 20 years experience, Kristen and Point Mortgage Corporation are here to serve all of your lending needs, from conventional to FHA, USDA, and VA loans. Plus, with their rate match guarantee, if they can't beat your pre-approved rate, they'll pay you $500. Call Kristen Ambos today at 920-606-1156 and let her and Point Mortgage make your home ownership dreams come true.
Civic Media, Wisconsin's source for real news and great conversation, offers podcasts of all of our daily shows online and on demand. Simply go to civicmedia.us, click on daily shows, and choose the podcast that you want to download. Shows are updated daily, or you can save them and listen all at once. Our podcasts are sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. You are an organ donor, right? Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Learn more at heroicdeed.com.
John Mino and Jim Schmidt.
Hey there, we'll start Tuesday's show. Tim Cody from Fox Valley.
All right, we are back here at hour number 2, the fourth quadrant, actually, of Nightlight. We've had a great time tonight talking to the legendary John Legend, TV writer Mike Rowe, and John Gries, who played Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. Big event happening at the Barrymore Theater this Saturday, November 9th. Check it out, Napoleon Dynamite Live. Napoleon himself will be there. John will be there. It's going to be a great event. Right now, I am so thrilled. I've got Erik Kjelland here from the Mascot Theory. He's talking to us in studio here as we broadcast from Madison tonight, and he brought his guitar. So that's a beautiful guitar, by the way. You were in the middle of telling a story. We have to hit these hard breaks here, and I had to kind of cut you off, and I apologize, but you're talking about how you came up with the name Mascot Theory.
Yeah, so it was my buddy, with the NCAA brackets. He had his theory of, I'm going to pick these teams to win based off of which mascot would fight. We thought it was a funny name, like the Mascot Theory. It's cool. So we added it to our list of band names, of random band names, and when we had this little duo show, or this show, makeshift show with these guys, I'm like, I'm just gonna toss a name on there just for kicks. And so I grabbed that one. It was kind of one of my favorites on there, and then again, we stuck around for another 13 years so
later.
It stuck. So,
yeah,
but mainly themascottheory.com was open, so we took that domain name, and that was it.
Love it.
There you go.
That's great. All right, so you're gonna perform something
Sure.
from us. Is this off of the new record? Or?
This is an older one.
Oh, okay.
I could do something off of that.
You listen. This is your dime, your dance floor, whatever.
So I almost never play solo. Like almost never.
Okay.
I love playing with the band, so I was like, what songs
I got a
could
kazoo
I
in the car. Do you want me to go out and grab it?
Yeah, I mean, I got harmonicas. We can
turn this into an
all kinds of
actual
stuff,
freak
right?
show.
Let's
You
do
get your
it.
kazoo, yeah.
Yeah. So this
whatever you want. Yeah.
Sure. This song is called First Summer Breeze.
Cool.
Hold tight, stay with me tonight. I know it's so hard to divide all the glitter in this world from the wreckage on the shoreline. These days, not much to celebrate. We build walls and we fortify the gates. There's corruption on the street, distrust between the sheets, and we've been through it all. Yeah, we've seen it all. Every chain can be broken, and every door that is shut can be opened. Here comes the relief. Oh, it's riding on the back of a breeze, and it's covering you, and it's preaching to me. It's the first summer breeze. At times, we all lose control. One wrong step can leave you in a hole filled with anger and disgrace. Failure painted on your face. Dreaming, driving through the snow. I see no lines upon the road. There's a pile up on the interstate. I hope I'm alive when I wake up. It'll slow it down. Then slow it down. Every word It's covering you and it's preaching to me. It's the first summer breeze. Every life has a purpose. Yeah, even a sinner like me don't feel that they deserve it. Here comes the relief. Oh, it's riding on the back of a breeze. And it's covering you and it's preaching to me. It's the first summer breeze. Whoa. Covering you and it's preaching to me. It's the first summer breeze. Yes, the first summer breeze.
Casper, what do you think about that? Chris Casper got a thumbs up.
That was fantastic.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
First Summer Breeze. So that's an older song?
Yeah, I think that came out in 2015, I believe.
Oh, wow, nice.
I actually wrote that for a songwriting competition that I did on another radio station. They had a big, I think it lasted like a month or 2 months, and I ended up winning it. And that was one of the songs that I wrote during that competition. So, and that's always been one of my favorites.
That was First Summer Breeze by Erik Kjelland from Mascot Theory, who is live with me in studio. So great to have you here. So tell us about Flannel Fest.
Sure. So Flannel Fest is an event that my friend Beth Killey from the Beth Killey Band, she and I put this together. And we've been doing this for 11 years now in the Madison area. And then I think maybe 6 or 7 years ago, we went up to Appleton and started doing it up there as well. So we do a 2-show weekend, and this is happening next weekend. So on 11/15 on Friday, we're going to be at Tanner's Grill and Bar in Kimberly, Wisconsin. And then the next night, we're going to be doing this whole event again in Madison at the Barrymore Theater. That's 11/16. And we've got 4 bands. So the Mascot Theory is going to be there. Shocker. That's me. And then Beth Killey Band. We've been doing our bands every year for this. And then we've got 2 headliners, national headliners. We've got the Old 97s, and then we've got Blitzen Trapper. Blitzen Trapper is like one of my all-time favorite bands.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to share the stage with them.
You kind of put this together?
What's that?
Are you the one that kind of put this together?
Beth and I did.
Wow,
yeah, we
very
created
nice.
this. And it's all a fundraiser. It's all a charity fundraiser for the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund. We've been doing this for years. We've raised over $130,000 for them, and making sure our Wisconsin neighbors in need are safe in their homes, that their electricity's not shut off, and to make sure their heat's on. You know, just crucial things that we take for granted, making sure that those basic necessities are taken care of for our friends in need.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's so great. All right, so like Erik just said, Friday, November 15th at Tanner's Grill and Bar in Kimberly, Wisconsin. Saturday, the next night, November 16th, here at the Barrymore Theater. So you can go see Napoleon Dynamite live this Saturday, and then next Saturday, check out Flannel Fest here in Madison. That's fantastic. So do you write most of the songs, or is it a collaborative effort?
Yeah, I write all the songs for the Mascot
Okay.
Theory, and then we bring them to the band, and then we can put their flavor on it and trust them with all their ridiculous talent, and we just work them up as full band versions. And like I said, I don't play often like this, so it's mostly the versions with the full band that we're working on getting out there.
You worked with a producer called Terry Manning,
yes,
who has produced Led Zeppelin. I guess you guys went down to Texas. It was like this big deal.
Yeah.
Well, how is that?
Amazing.
What were you intimidated, or what does a producer like that bring to a record? You've got the song. What does a good producer do to take it to the next level?
It can be so many different things, and it really just depends on the person. And we had no idea going into it what was going to happen, because we've never worked with somebody like that caliber before, and that kind of a discography that they've worked on. And so certainly we were nervous, but we were definitely well prepared. We had these songs rehearsed, well rehearsed many times. We played a lot of them live, so we knew what we were doing. Now, we didn't know if we were going to get down there and the producer would be like, Terry would be like, cool, now let's try it as a ballad or something completely different.
Right.
We weren't expecting that was going to happen, but we were ready for it just in case. But it didn't happen. He loved the versions that we had, And his goal for this album was to make it sound as best as possible. He knew we were a live band and we play out, so we wanted to make sure it sounded as close to that sound as possible. So it was the most comfortable experience we've ever had for being the most nervous going in.
You say that, but like, I would assume you guys are paying for the studio time. You're paying. He's not the boss, right? I mean, you guys at the end of the day do what you want to do with the respect you have for him.
True, but you don't bring in somebody like that at that caliber without knowing that their footprint, their fingerprint should be on it somewhere if they want to. And we were willing. We had done 5 or 6 albums before that, so we knew how that worked. We've done all these on our own. We've produced our own. And this was something different, and we were ready to allow that process to happen if it did, but it didn't. It was once he picked us up from the airport in his truck, and just, he was just the most normal dude, so it was like immediately you're just like, okay,
you knew you were going to like it.
We're going to work.
Here's the album.
Yeah.
Erik was nice enough to bring in a copy of, this is the Mascot Theory new album, Every Sign of Life. And there's some great songs on this. I love that you guys put these on your website too. The songs are there so people can check them out.
A lot of videos, yeah.
And a lot of videos, yeah. That's what I meant, actually, is videos. And you have Fast Car Getaway on there, which is one of my all-time favorites, so that was fun. Can you, we have a time thing with performing. Do you mind belting out a new tune or another tune before we have to take a break at 7:49?
7:49.
Yeah.
All right,
but cool. You do what you do. If we have to play into break, that's fine. You don't worry about that. I'll worry about that.
All right, this is a song called Sliver of a Maybe on that new
All right, this is Erik Kjelland from Mascot Theory.
Back in school, I liked a redhead girl when I was just a kid. And I wrote that girl a letter, 'cause that's what young boys did. It said you and I could talk for hours, yeah, we could take it slow. Don't need to waste your pencil, but don't circle yes or no, just a still. Oh, yeah, of a maybe, yeah, that's all I'm asking for, yeah. That's all I'm asking for.
I just messed up that second. Did you hear that?
I
know. I was like, can I scat through this whole thing or not? No, I'm not gonna do that.
If you would have said anything,
I know, but I was like, nope. I'm gonna.
Do whatever you gotta do.
Off a message to a friend who passed away. Said my friend was getting updates from the place his body lay. I don't think it means I'm crazy if I try to reach a ghost. Modern communication and a little touch of hope, just a sliver. Oh yeah, the maybe. Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. Stack up all these poems, knock them down like dominoes, and we'll find that sonic vibe that's running through this desert land. And we'll just keep on trucking through the sun and through the sand, just a sliver. Oh yeah, the maybe. Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. I would take a hand-me-down miracle or a somewhat push the open door. That's all I'm asking for. Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. Woo.
That was great.
Close, real close.
Erik Kjelland, you got it together, man. That was awesome.
It's good.
I don't know how you do the harmonica and the guitar. I think you have to be like a contortionist or something. But we'll have a few minutes more with Erik after a very quick break. This is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
No one lives forever. There's business here you've got to finish. You won't make your mind up. You won't make your mind up for me.
Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home of Mino and the Mayor. Hey, it's John Mino.
And Jim Schmidt from Mino and the Mayor.
Want to stay in the loop with all things Northeast Wisconsin? Sign up for the WGBW weekly newsletter.
Get the latest local stories, updates on the weather, and a special feature from our Mino and the Mayor podcast.
It's your one-stop shop for real news and great conversations in Northeast Wisconsin.
Log on to WGBW.FM today and get signed up.
Real news, great conversations. Sign up today at WGBW.FM/newsletter. The Maggie Dawn Show.
Professor Charles Franklin from Marquette University Law School. This is the last poll before we will go to the polls.
In the presidential race, we have it at a 1-point Harris lead, 48-47, with 5% undecided. And how those people make up their minds, who to vote for or if to vote, that's easily enough to sway this race.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekdays from 2 till 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
The Todd Alba Show.
Matt Flynn joining us. This is a text off the text line. Quote, I'm dreading that it's a little too late. The last few weeks of polls are extremely bleak.
This is not the time to get wobbly. The polls right now still show her in the lead between 2 to 3 points. She used to be ahead by 5 points. So what?
Charles Franklin at Marquette Law School says polls don't vote, people do. Have a plan, be a voter, Matt.
The Todd Alba.
So our question was, what are you doing to take your mind off the election? And most people answered it that way. Some people are just telling us who they voted for. That's okay. It's a big day tomorrow. We're almost through it. Zach from Sun Prairie says, I'm sorry, I already read that. Kamala 2024. Okay, from the 920, I voted. 608, already voted. Thanks anyway. Go Kamala, go. 262, voted red to save our country. 608, Steady Eddie says, Pete, to get away from the anxiety of the election, I am spending my time exploring ideas for new gelato flavors for next spring. Well, someone has to. One idea for a flavor is Steady Eddie's Paschetti, a special treat for the kiddos. A unique combination of vanilla gelato with swirls of spicy red pasta sauce and chunks of garlic and oregano. Buy it for your kids as their first ice cream experience, and they will never pester you for ice cream again. Eddie sounds like a very good father. Another flavor, peach guava, named for a guy after bar time pronounces peach Schwaba. Thank you, Eddie. That was my lifelong goal. There we gelato named after me. No worries. I will keep thinking and invent a gelato flavor for Conrad. You guys got any ideas? Steady, hell fast, Eddie. Or maybe he meant hold fast, but hell fast works too. Andrew from Verona says he's been getting away from the election with booze and weed. Well, that'll do it. Bridget from the 818 says, I already voted. If you haven't voted, please vote. 801, I don't know. That's a new texter, I think, says, already voted for Trump. Jim from Appleton says, already voted. I try to keep my mind off the election by enjoying a great radio show called Nightlight. Always entertaining, usually funny. All right, I'll take that. I'll take that, Jim. Thank you. Chris from the 608, we know this guy. He says he's helping produce the show tonight, and he does so much here at Civic Media. He says, I've been a fan of the Mascot Theory for years and have also had the privilege of mastering several of Beth, how do you say her last name again? Killy. Beth Killy's albums. Amazing music. Nice. Who knew? He's sitting right on the other side of the glass. That's great. Matt from Germantown says, I keep my mind off the election by worrying about the election. Join the club, Matt. Thank you all for the text. Those were great. You guys were fantastic tonight. I'd like to thank all my guests, John Legend, John Gries, Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. He'll be here in Madison Saturday. And TV writer extraordinaire Mike Rowe. And helping me close out the show here is Alec, I'm reading the text. Erik Kjelland from the Mascot Theory, who played some awesome songs. You wanted to talk about Flannel Fest again.
Yeah, just to let everybody know that if you're interested in more information or want to pick up tickets, flannelfest.com is the place to be.
Do you guys get a lot of comparison? It's interesting. This Terry Manning supposedly, or not supposedly, did produce Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Your sound, you remind me a lot of the Black Crowes. Do you get that?
No, not well. I mean, there's that this new album is kind of classic rock.
Okay.
If Black Crowes is classic rock, I've got air quotes here because I guess we're classic rock now, like the music of our childhood. But I think a lot of that Tom Petty, those kind of artists that are just that rock and roll sound,
Yeah.
And they're like one of the most amazing. Fun fact: while we were recording, Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes was there.
Whoa!
He actually gave me these harmonicas. No lie.
Wow, no
Yeah,
kidding.
he was there producing a record next door with another band at another studio right next to us, and we hung out with him pretty much the whole time. Yeah.
Was he the singer or the brother that played? Because they were brothers.
Chris
right?
was the singer.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
wow.
He's the dude. And he had up this box of harmonicas. And I'm like, shoot, I didn't bring any harmonicas with me. And we were chatting, and I was like, can I borrow one of those? He's like, take whatever you want.
Oh, my God.
So I took a couple and put them on the album, and yeah, there you go. We're basically best friends now.
Because you've swapped spit through a harmonica.
Synchronous spit. Yes.
Where can people see you guys live, Erik?
The next one would be Flannel Fest. That'd be the first. That's actually probably going to be the last ones of the year, I think. We tend to take some time off around this time so that we can really focus on making sure we get tickets sold and get as much money as we can raise for the charity. So that's probably going to be our last one for the year. And then we're going to start working on a new album. I think that's our next plan. So we'll probably sprinkle some shows in just maybe locally, probably up in Appleton. That's like our second home as well, like up there to play. And we love the Mile of Music Festival and all of that. And so
do you have favorite places in Madison, spots that you typically play?
Yeah, we've played, a lot of different places, and there's a lot of places. We'd love to play the Sylvie at some point. Whatever the biggest thing is, we'd love to do it.
Sure.
But we played at the High Noon and a lot of different places around, and it's just it's a good town for local music for sure.
Is Wisconsin, is the music industry healthy here? It seems like there's a lot of bands here I never knew about. Like, I feel like there's a great music scene here, but you would know obviously better than me.
There's great musicians. There's great music. There's not as much of an industry, which makes it, compared to Nashville or LA or something, which makes it a little harder, or even Chicago. You don't have, it's not a huge city where you can just really know that you're going to have a record exec walk across the street and hear you playing out live somewhere. It's just, that probably isn't going to happen around here. But from a local standpoint, there's so much music and so many good, and really across the state. There's so many amazing musicians in Milwaukee and the Appleton area and just all over the place.
And is it like, are the bands supportive of each other? Is there a rivalry or a competition, or is everybody pretty supportive typically?
I mean, I think if you want to do well, you support everybody.
Yeah.
You really, and that's a project that I had worked on years ago called Wisconsin Vinyl Collective, where I pulled together songs from artists that either had Wisconsin ties or in Wisconsin, like in Butch Vig and Garbage was the person that I worked on that with. So he and I kind of worked on curating it and pulling bands from all areas of the state, just making sure that we were hitting everybody. And it was so much fun because you're getting these bands that you've never heard before. And it is a networking thing, but it's also a sharing of, hey, you may not have gone up to Stevens Point, but there's some cool bands up there.
Yeah,
You're from Madison, but check out this band from Milwaukee or Appleton. And that's a fun way to do it to me.
Absolutely. Well, this has been really fun. I can't thank you enough for coming in tonight. It's been great to meet you in person, Erik, and thank you for spending some time here on Nite Live tonight.
Anytime.
Yeah, thank you to all of our guests. Thank you to Chris Casper for helping us out tonight, the biggest fan of Mascot Theory right there. And your text. It's almost over, folks. Every night we try to take your mind off the day here at Nite Lite. Thank you for sticking with us through this. I hope we were able to make you think about or forget about the election for a little while, and things hopefully will go back to normal. Well, off tomorrow night. I'm doing some election coverage here at Civic Media from 6 to 8. We'll be back Wednesday Night Live. You want to play us out, Erik?
Sure.
All right. Good night, Wisconsin.
I woke up on the wrong side of the tracks again. Then I mixed up all my signals, somehow lost a friend. Now I'm learning how to make a smile